Welcome back. Now with your 5-day weather forecast, here's Rachel Yeager.
For this time of year, we couldn't ask for a better day. With a high of 13, the sun is out and we'll have clear skies with a low of 4 into the evening. The sun may be out now, but don't expect to see it into next week. Tomorrow, you can expect clear skies and a high of 12, but in the evening we'll have some wind with a low of 4. By Sunday, we'll have a nice high of 11, but the sun won't be around. There's a 60% chance of showers and a low of 7. We'll get a break from the rain on Monday, but we'll have a lot of cloud cover, so don't expect to see the sun for the start of the school week. The sun may make an appearance on Tuesday, but there will be cloud cover and a 30% chance of showers. The high will be 10 and the low 3. We're having a great day to start the weekend, so go out and enjoy it, because next week all we'll be seeing is gray skies. Back to you in the studio.
And now turning to international and national news, a BC family says they blame the provincial government after it was discovered their mentally disabled sister lived with her mother's corpse for over a week. The girl was found with the body in their mobile home in September. The 15-year-old's family says social services had been warned about the mother's drug and alcohol abuse. A brother took her from the home in July but was told to return his sister or he would be charged with kidnapping. She's now in government care.
World leaders are heading home today as talks conclude at the G20 summit in Seoul, Korea. The heads of the world's major economies were unable to solve a bitter dispute over how to avoid a currency war. G20 leaders took aim at the US and China, condemning their attempts to manipulate the value of their currencies.
Some talks are proving productive, however. Prime Minister Stephen Harper and India's Prime Minister Manmohan Singh have begun negotiating a free trade deal. If successful, it could boost each country's economy by $6 billion per year. Trade between Canada and India is currently fairly low. Since 2006, the Conservative government has signed trade agreements with 8 other countries worldwide.
The pro-democracy movement in Burma is preparing for the release of their leader. Friends of Aung San Suu Kyi say her release papers have been signed by military leaders. The Nobel Peace Prize winner has spent the last 15 years in jail and under house arrest. Members of the National League for Democracy say if she's released, Suu Kyi plans to probe allegations of corruption in last week's elections. Suu Kyi and the NLD party won the 1990 general election by a landslide, but were blocked from taking power by the ruling military junta.
And now here's Phil Heidenreich with your sports update.
I'm Phil Heidenreich, and here's what's happening in sports. Both Humber's volleyball teams remain undefeated after dominating the Sheridan Bruins in the Hawks' home opener last night. The women easily swept Sheridan in 3 sets, winning 25-16 in the first and taking the second and third 25-10. The men came out strong in their first set, winning 25-13, but Sheridan rallied back, taking the second set 25-22. The men finished strong, though, winning the last 2 sets 25-19 and 25-17. Both the men and women play Canadore on Saturday and Nipissing on Sunday. To the hardwood, the Hawks basketball teams were in Niagara Falls last night to do battle with the Niagara Knights. The men put Niagara away with relative ease, winning 92-72, while the women lost by a score of 70-63. Keeping with Hawks news, it's an exciting weekend for several Humber varsity squads. The Hawks men and women continue their quest for gold at the Soccer Nationals in Edmonton. Both teams need a win to have a chance at the gold medal game tomorrow. The men take on Northern Alberta Institute of Technology at 1 o'clock Eastern, while the women face Kwantlen at 4 o'clock. You can watch all the action live in the soccer section of the CCAA website. And in other Hawks news, the men and women's cross-country teams will be in Fredericton racing for gold Saturday. On the ice, 4 Canadian teams were in action last night. The Vancouver Canucks gave head coach Alan Vigneault his 300th NHL win as they beat the Ottawa Senators 6-2 on the road. The Habs were victorious in an original 6 showdown with the Bruins in Boston. Montreal rookie PK Subban scored his first NHL regular season goal. Meanwhile, the youth movement in Edmonton got a harsh lesson in Detroit last night. The experienced Red Wings had their way with the Oilers, thumping them by a score of 6-2. On the hardwood, the Toronto Raptors face a challenging pair of games in Florida this weekend against 2 players they lost in the offseason. The struggling Raps take on Hedo Turkoglu and the high-flying Orlando Magic tonight. Tomorrow they take on Chris Bosh and the Miami Heat. And finally, in football, the Toronto Argonauts will make their first CFL playoff appearance since 2007 this weekend. The Argos have a tough task ahead of them as they head to the Hammer to take on the Tiger Cats in the Eastern semifinal at Ivor Wynne Stadium. The Ticats won all 3 head-to-head matches this season. The Western semifinal sees the BC Lions take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders in Regina. Both games kick off Sunday. That's all for sports. Back to Scott and Pam in the studio.
Thanks, Phil. Don't go anywhere. Coming up after the break, Deborah Sardinetta will have all your entertainment highlights.
Coming up on entertainment, Nelly Furtado shines at the Latin Grammys, the Gemini Awards airs this weekend, and The Simpsons is back for a 23rd season. I'll have all that and more after the break.